Hello and welcome. My name is Miles Clark. I'm the head of marketing at Cloud Gateway. For those of you that have been following along, we run a Employee of the Month Spotlight series where we have been meeting and showcasing some of the cool and interesting things that have been going on at Cloud Gateway. This is our first attempt at recording it live, so bear with us. Neither of us have that much experience at this.
We're amateur.
But we're going to see how it goes. So this is Jo Hoggarth, who recently joined the Cloud Gateway team. I'll hand over to her and let her introduce herself. Maybe a little bit about your role, where you're from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I'm Jo, which is actually short for Joanna, but I don't like being called Joanna because that's what my mum calls me when I'm being told off. And I am from the Highlands of Scotland. If you know your whiskey, then I lived down the road from Balblair Distillery. We actually had our sports days in Balblair Distillery when I was in primary school. And
seems an interesting choice for a kid's sports day.
That's why the parents were so happy that day.
Yeah.
And then I went to secondary school in the town where Glenmorangie is, which people are more familiar with Glenmorangie.
So I'm definitely familiar with that. I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I would say as I've got a little bit older, I've moved away from sort of fairly cheap and nasty shots of whiskey at the end of an evening to maybe more of a single malt, something a little bit nicer. I think that's probably my taste buds finally maturing. Awesome. So you're now here in London. How long have you been living in London? What was your path, your journey from the Highlands down here, down south?
Yeah, so I have been in London for 8 years now. Whilst I was in the Highlands, I studied hospitality in Aberdeen. I did do accounting and finance for a year, but turned out I'm not very good at numbers. So moved over to hospitality, and that's where I worked throughout my time in the Highlands. But then moving down to London, I decided I didn't want to work at the weekends anymore. And it was that panic move where I didn't really know what to do. And everyone was like, get a job in recruitment, which is what I did. So I got a role in recruitment, doing tech recruitment, data and business intelligence, and discovered another one of my weaknesses is that I'm not very good at sales. So I really enjoyed the people part of recruitment. Yeah. It was more the sales side that wasn't my cup of tea. And I ended up regularly meeting with the HR director at the time and really admired her role. I was really interested in HR. So luckily enough, an opportunity came up at a property company where I started as office manager and HR administrator. I did my CIPD qualification.
What is that, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's the Chartered Institute for Professional Development. Okay, so it's like the main governing body of HR. And there's different levels that you can do. I think it's 3, 7, 10. Donnie, come on. Get Donnie.
Yeah, we have Donnie wandering around. I'm sure he will appear on camera at some point. We'll get on to Donnie in a little bit, shall we?
He's
kind of the star of the show here. Hello, Donnie. Okay, lovely. So moving on to Cloud Gateway. I know you've not been here long, but what does a typical day look like for you at the moment? Talk us through your first sort of, was it a month, 6 weeks now you've been at the company?
Only a month. It'll be 30 days on Wednesday.
Oh wow, it feels longer.
Yeah, so it's pretty new, and there's not really a typical day at the moment. But I am having lots of meetings, getting to know various people across the business, understanding what the business does and the structure, and seeing where I can support people best from a people and talent perspective. It's really looking at the current people, processes and infrastructure, seeing where the gaps lie, what I can do to help improve that, and improve the overall employee experience. So once I've got a better idea of what those gaps are and what our plans are for the next couple of years, then I'll be able to put people's strategy together and hopefully deliver that next year.
Nice. So what did you inherit? What kind of shape are we in so far? I asked that because I would definitely say from my perspective over the last 12 to 18 months, I've seen a lot more investment in the HR side of things. Obviously, Cloud Gateway's been an assistant sort of coming up to 7 years now, and rightly or wrongly, obviously HR isn't necessarily always a priority in those first couple of years, especially with COVID and everything that we were dealing with at the time. But yeah, what sort of shape are we in, would you say? I know it's certainly been 6 weeks, and you don't want to get anyone in trouble, but what are we looking at?
It's not a total greenfield, which is good. Like, there's definitely some really good processes in place already. It was great. I think a couple of months before I started, we launched a new HR information system, HiBob.
Yes. So
that's going to really help with the infrastructure and automating HR processes. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We definitely have the foundations to build off, and it's just really driving that, automating things as much as we can, and empowering line managers to take some ownership of some HR processes as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll get on to that in a little bit more detail in a bit. I know you've got a ton of cool stuff lined up.
Yeah.
So Cloud Gateway, well, including Cloud Gateway, I guess, and before that, what's the most enjoyable or rewarding part of your role? I tend to ask this question of everyone. From your perspective, what's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning?
For me, it's probably the coaching and mentoring side of the role. I am lucky enough that during my HR career, I have been exposed to all sorts of different situations and experiences, and being able to share that knowledge and empower people to get through certain situations themselves. And it's really great when I'm giving some advice and you kind of had that epiphany moment and you can see it, and people appreciate that advice and then go away, use it, come back and tell you the value that it added. So being able to see that is really, really rewarding, and actually making a difference to not just businesses as a whole, but individuals as well.
Yeah, I can quite believe that. Okay, lovely. Well, thinking about what the next sort of 3 months looks like, maybe even the next year, I know the answer to one of these, or a couple of these, because we've been working on them together. But yeah, what are the things you're most excited about getting started on, let's say in the new year?
Yeah, so one of the key things for me is supporting line managers. I think a lot of organizations make the mistake of not really investing in line management. And what does line management mean at Cloud Gateway? And being able to support new line managers and existing line managers as we grow, because teams will be getting larger, and really having the support and resources that they need to do their job well. Because line management is such a huge part of employee engagement. I mean, they're responsible for motivation, learning and development, performance, engagement within their teams. So it's really key that they feel supported, not just by me, but by leadership as well. And whether that's training or additional processes or just more one-to-ones, more coaching and mentoring, then yeah, it'll be really, really fun doing that in the new year.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've been with the business for the six and a half years now. I was one of the, I guess, lucky ones who managed to start with the business back in 2017. And yeah, line management, if I'm being honest, back then wasn't a huge concern because there was only 3 of us. And obviously over time we've grown, and more recently we've grown quite aggressively. Aggressively is probably not the right word, but you know, we've now the need for building out teams that where 1 or 2 people was more than enough. Now we're looking at teams of 5, 6 or 7. So that line management element is pretty important, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it's being able to balance giving enough attention to individuals, and some might need more at different times than others, but often line managers also in our size of business have their own workload as well. So you really want to balance that and make sure you're avoiding burnout and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things I'm most proud about when people ask me about Cloud Gateway is that a lot of people who are now taking these line management jobs are probably people doing it for the first time. Cloud Gateway is very good at recognizing potential and supporting that. And one of the ways in which they've been prepared to do that, certainly in my time here, is to promote people perhaps at an age or an experience level where they might not have got that same opportunity. And I think Cloud Gateway have been rewarded in that respect, because some of our most talented and competent people are sort of in their 20s, in their 30s, not necessarily got decades of experience, but the line management element, the HR side in particular, might be something that they don't have a huge amount of experience with. And I guess that's where you come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another thing that I know we've been talking about a lot recently, and is becoming it's higher on our agenda now, and I think outside of Cloud Gateway too is ESG, so environmental, social, and governance.
Yeah.
We've obviously been working on the strategy, the business's strategy over the next sort of 12 to 18 months. What do you sort of foresee that looking like as we move into the new year?
Yeah, I really love like the structure that we have now, because there's yourself and we've got Alice and Emma in our little ESG committee at the moment.
Our little Slack group.
Yeah, and Alice has been fantastic for the environment side of things and looking at our carbon reduction plan. And then you and I are kind of sharing social, which is great.
Yeah,
and
social's the one I think we joke about this a lot. The G is probably the hardest one to be excited about, but I know it's equally important.
Yeah, just as important.
But the social stuff has been good, hasn't it?
Yeah. I do have to say that the social is probably one of my favourite parts of it. I shouldn't say that because it's all super important.
Well, week of the Christmas party, I think it's absolutely fine to mention.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think there will be, from the carbon reduction plan, there are some suggestions and ideas there. So it'll be really great to be looking into those in the new year and seeing how we can improve from that perspective. On the social side of things, we've been talking about different initiatives, and we've just learned from the social value portal that we have started using that there's all sorts of things that you can record from a social perspective, from local employment, supply chain, all the way through to things like volunteering, which we really want to make a core part of Cloud Gateway and introduce policy in the new year to encourage people to do that. And that's really great because it adds value to individuals as well as the business, and then we're also in most cases giving back to the community as well. But yeah, as you say, governance is also just as important. I think we're very much learning that piece. We have a huge amount of governance in place already, given the nature of what Cloud Gateway does, but we can certainly be doing more. So I think that will be, the G will be important in the new year to really see how we can hone in on that as well. Yeah,
I have to say, when it comes to the governance side of things, I perhaps underestimated just how much we have in place already. I think we were a lot more mature than perhaps I realised. There's an absolute ton of stuff, and it makes sense, of course, bearing in mind who our customers are and sort of the level of scrutiny they get and we get in turn. So yeah, I have to say that was one takeaway I've had from those first few series of meetings. You touched on the carbon reduction plan as well. I know for everyone, but I guess particularly people of our age at the moment, the environmental stuff is a hot item politically. I think in friendship groups and in business circles, it's becoming something that people care about, right? It's not just something that we kind of dipping our toe into the water with now. We've made a series of pretty comprehensive and robust commitments around the environment, and that's kind of locked together in the carbon reduction plan. So I know from our perspective, we'll be spending a lot of time over the next, I guess indefinitely now, looking to meet those targets that we've set ourselves. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and we should probably explain a little bit, is the Culture Committee. I think it was a little bit before your time, but the naming of the Culture Committee was something that was bouncing around Slack groups internally for a long while. I think for those old enough, of which I just about include myself, the Culture Club, the band, I think was the inspiration for it, and I think we realised it was a little bit cheesy, but we embraced it and we've gone with it. So the Culture Committee is over a year old now. Talk to us a little bit about how that works, how it came about, I guess, and what you're looking to accomplish now that you're joining, I guess. Yeah, so culture is really important to Cloud Gateway, and that has come across really, really clearly for me over the last month that I've been here. I'm still learning the culture at Cloud Gateway, but I hope to be a part of the culture club in a way that I can really support driving culture throughout the business, and that's thinking about initiatives that just bring people together and remind people of the culture and the values of the business as well. As I say, I'm still learning and figuring out what would be best for Cloud Gateway, because I don't want to be carrying cultures from previous companies. I want to make sure I'm getting it right here. And that's tricky, of course, right? Because people bring their own experiences working in other businesses. We're 35, 40 people strong. We very much consider ourselves a a startup or a scale up, perhaps even now, but people have come from all different backgrounds, some of which
And you want to embrace that too.
Yeah, of course.
And as we grow, our culture will naturally change. And I guess part of the Culture Club's responsibility is making sure that it's always changing in a positive way. But some of the initiatives that have already been launched by the Culture Club before I started, one was the Values Champion, which is fantastic for just checking in and reminding people of values, because often businesses will launch values and they sit on the website, sit on a job description, but they're never talked about or used in a positive way and used as a tool to support culture. But it's also an opportunity to celebrate employees across the business for various reasons, and draw attention to their successes as well. So that's been absolutely fantastic and well received, from what I understand. Yeah,
no, I love that one. I think, again, sort of maybe coming up to its year anniversary since we introduced that, and we've seen, it's great, right? Because people get to go and nominate someone, which is a nice thing to do. We used to be a little bit more guarded around who nominated who, but we kind of opened that up so there's a little bit more transparency. And I thought it was great because you go on there and there's a long list of people congratulating and showcasing the achievements of other people, and it's often not people in the same team. It's someone who is working closely with someone in another team on a project that might span multiple departments, and they get the opportunity. They fill in a short form and they basically just say how great someone's been. And I know across sort of the 7 or 8 that we've done, nearly everyone's had a nomination. Some people have had tons, and it's great to, like you say, to celebrate, to showcase that work that might otherwise go unseen. Because I know, working in my team, and most of us work at home the majority of the time, you sometimes lose sight of all the cool, interesting stuff that's going on around the business. Yeah, and it's lovely to have that opportunity to celebrate your peers as well. Yes. And to be recognised by peers in the business as being successful and doing a great job. It's really lovely for people. No, it is, and I know we there is a reward. I think. I think we get a £100 voucher or something like that, which is nice, and I think people appreciate that. But it's more that we put a little nice post out on social. We celebrate it on the website, and then more importantly at the internal all hands, we make a big deal out of it, and everyone gets a chance to congratulate that person. So yeah, I love that one. And I think going back to the values, I was looking over the website analytics not that long ago, and the most landed on page, or certainly one of them, is our values page. And I know a lot of businesses are guilty of, creating values, making a big fanfare about them, and then not really doing much with them. And I think we were very aware that we could fall into that trap if we didn't pay more attention to them. So I think seeing that people are interested for a start is important. I mean, in terms of recruitment, it can't hurt that someone can land on our website and see all these great examples of how our values and social value are important to the business. Yeah. Right, work bit done now. And I'm nervous that Donnie's getting a little impatient with us rattling on here. We're like trying to pretend he's not there running around. He's been great. He's got his toy. So a couple of quick ones outside of work. How do you like spending your time outside of work? What are you into? What are you not? Tell us how you spend your time when you're not at Cloud Gateway. Well, a huge part of my time is spent with Donnie. Yeah. So we do lots of walks, different London parks, sometimes venture out of London at the weekends. It's nice to get out of the city space, having grown up in the Highlands. I'm not always used to it's quite a contrast, having such isn't it? Close neighbours. It's nice to get out and about. But I also do a lot of cooking. I'm really into cooking, so I cook almost every day. Yeah. We were just talking before we recorded about soups. We're sharing soup recipes. Yeah, we were sharing soup recipes. You can tell you're getting a little bit older when you're sharing soup recipes. We both own a soup maker. I was telling Jo how I was gifted that by my mother a couple of Christmases ago, and presumed I'd pop it at the back of a kitchen drawer, but I'm now using it pretty much every day or every week. Yeah, batch cooking as well. Yeah. Crikey. Okay, so what's your go-to thing then? If you've got a Friday or Saturday evening with a little bit more time, what would be your favourite thing to cook? It has to be a curry. Okay. Caribbean curry is what I would go for. Nice. Are we talking hot, spicy curries, or are we pretty hot? There's some Scotch bonnet in there. Oh crikey!
So,
yeah, that might be a little bit too hot for my tastes. I enjoy a curry. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, something like a madras. I don't even know how that would fall. That probably more than
That's like a happy medium, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'll happily have a madras, and if I'm on a sports social or somewhere where I don't feel like a butter chicken or a korma is going to cut it, I'll have a madras.
Yeah.
And all joking aside, I do enjoy them, but I know about it afterwards. Anything hot, and it's probably too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I had to build my spice levels. When I first moved to London, like a tomato basil soup would be hot for me.
Okay.
Just peppery.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, but it's taken 8 years to get to this point.
Well, my brother, who won't thank me for mentioning this, is a korma man through and through. He has no shame in ordering a korma, regardless of whoever he's with. He doesn't care if it is.
I feel like korma doesn't even count as curry.
That is what we tell him, but he just has this spiel where he goes on about how creamy and delicious it is, and.
As long as he enjoys it.
He enjoys it, which is the main thing. But no, so I probably fall somewhere in the middle. Okay, right. So we normally wrap these up with the same question, which I put to all the people that come on, and that is, give us one word without explanation that sums you up best. And I have given Jo pre-warning of this question to give us some thinking time.
Otherwise, I'd be a rabbit in the headlights right now. One word to describe myself would be thoughtful.
Okay, that's a good one. We've had some great ones. You should, if for no other reason, you should go check out the previous couple. We've had some good ones. They're more often than not a good fit, and I feel like that one is for you too, and probably a good one for head of HR, people and talent.
That's true. I was going to think of something a bit more quirky, and then I was like,
no, I think that was
keep it PC.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, thank you for joining me.
For having me.
Yeah, and this is something that we're going to make a regular thing going forward, presuming none of you guys have any objections. We have a couple of people lined up over the next couple of months, so those will be with you in January and February. Like I say, the series has been going 6 months or so now, so there are some really interesting blogs on the website if you want to go and have a read of those. If not, we will see you in the new year when we will be speaking to more people from Cloud Gateway.